Good morning. Happy Wednesday, January 10th. Hope all of you are ready in your seat to watch the live show today as we dial into the Chiefs, the Dolphins, all the way down to Russell Wilson, Saquon Barkley, and into NBA as well. Remember to like and subscribe before I welcome our co-host to the show, the main event, the guy that has a face for radio. He looks better in low definition, my below average white guy, Brent Chapman.
Raise the roof.
I can't wait for your music introduction.
Yeah, do you know how good of a dancer a below average white guy is? Wait till you guys hear my theme music and I start dancing. It's gonna, because I shoot my shot like 2K, baby. Oh
2K.
Yeah, there we go. We're ramped up and we're ready to roll today, Mr. Mason.
Hey, listen, I'm over here live again. I woke up this morning. I'm like, why is this camera not focusing on me? It's like super not focused. I said, that is how Brent likes it in low def. And I said, God, I tried to make my camera a little better than yours.
I was actually Googling yesterday if there was like a filter that we could put on that like pixelizes me. I mean, I think that would be pretty sweet.
Listen, Brent, last night I started thinking, I said, what the hell are we going to talk about tomorrow live on the show? What's better right now than open up the playoff talk and conversation right now as we get right into Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs versus Miami Dolphins.
This is
with
a
Tua.
Brandon Mason man crush special.
This
is the Brandon Mason Bowl. It's got everything Brandon Mason loves. It's got Tyreek Hill. It's got Taylor Swift. I'm calling this game the Brandon Mason Bowl.
Oh, I forgot about that. I literally forgot about that, Brent.
No,
yeah,
come on.
Taylor
You
Swift
never
is gonna
forget
be in the
about
house
Taylor
too.
Swift, bro.
Who do you, Brent, when you hear this matchup, I know who you're probably going with right now, but before I pull up a clip of Tyreek Hill running there, do you think that this matchup is going to be good? Do you think it's a blowout? Do you think, when you've been talking about this, the Dolphins are too banged up? How do you feel about them traveling up to Arrowhead Stadium?
I told you what I thought, was that I thought Miami should have rested their starters against Buffalo to prepare for this match.
Because they got beat
Instead,
anyway.
they went in the battle and they're all banged up. Here, I was talking with a friend of mine earlier today who may be joining the show tomorrow. So, little hint, teaser there. Michigan's all-time rushing or yards leader. But he was telling me, look, if Miami, it's going to be cold. It's going to be the 5th coldest game in NFL history, right? So if Miami can potentially establish the run with their misdirection and I'm going this way and Tyreek Hill's going this way and Raheem Mostert's going up the middle and A-Chain's doing this, they may be able to take advantage of a pretty down Kansas City Chiefs team. I thought it was a good argument. In reality, Miami's depleted. They're defeated. Did you see their faces after that Bills game? They looked like they were done. I think Kansas City wins by 3 touchdowns. That's what I think.
I got to tell you, I agree with the end of the game. It was almost literally not as bad as watching Penix from Washington walk off the field. He was just hurting after every play.
That's different.
Are the Dolphins that depleted? And can you, Brent, on your screen right now, because I can't do it, can you point at where it says home and away? Because you said it's going to be the coldest game on the hit list right there. Can you point? Look at you. Look at you. Can you line this up right where it says home and away? Back your hand up a little bit.
Right there.
Head away from it. Oh, like a weather guy. Okay, home and away. It's a problem for the Dolphins to play away. When I get to that part of the show, you're going to see why. But first and foremost, let's just show this. Look at this clip. This is what they're playing against. This man is built for speed. I always talk about it.
With football. Oh,
Watch the speed on this, Brent.
The Brandon Mason crush is in full effect.
Brent, who's running like this? Watch it. Look.
Howard, come on,
It's impossible to
Howard.
guard this man. These are not, listen, this is not your corner or your safety or linebacker. These are people that are actually playing football that some have some track speed, but most of them do not. Not this kind of speed. And let's just watch this one last time to see what other people have to go against. And if Tyreek
hey
Hill
Howard,
game,
how many times do you
look
think
at this
that Brandon?
shit, man. Literally, if I had this speed, Brent, I'd be playing forever. Look at this.
Howard, how many times do you think Brandon watched this video in his house last night? Do you think he just sat in a corner and just watched the video over and over and over?
I can't even get Howard on here.
I sadly don't have a camera, but
oh my God,
who knows?
Howard's in the back right now. Didn't even turn his camera on because he's looking like hell.
Tyreek Hill needs a restraining order against Brandon Mason.
No, Tyreek Hill needs a restraining order on the alarm system that he has because the fire at his house was blazing for like a week. It was just going. They found out that it was a child who lit the fire in the house. But nonetheless, they're focused, Brent, and I want to know what you honestly think. Is Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs are not playing all that great, but I know the Dolphins are banged up. What is your honest take? Give me your opinion, not just on, who's going to win, but the gameplay real quick. What do you think is going to happen outside of them being banged up? Can they move the ball against the Chiefs? I mean, what do you think is going to happen today?
I think that their defense without Bradley, they're missing like 2 or 3 defensive ends, which is not great. But if they can keep Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense stifled, which is what's happened the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, they haven't been able to move the ball.
What word did you just use? Stifle.
Miami may have a chance, as I said, if they can run the ball. And I know that sounds really weird with Miami because they're this dynamic passing, all these tricks and all this stuff, right? But it's this RPO. But if they can run the ball and make short passes and quick passes, and Kansas City can't light it up, then Miami might be in this game come the end. But what do I think is going to happen? I think Kansas City's going to go, oh, it's playoffs, flip the switch, and just run them out of the building. And you thought because Miami looked so defeated at the end of that last game. I just think they're done. I think they're roasted.
And listen, I like what you said about that. What I will say is playoff football is a lot different. Like I said, we get down to the home and away section. Right. I'm going to dial in that pretty heavy. But they are playing against a team. Patrick Mahomes is, no slouch in the playoffs. Yeah, they didn't play that great this season, but I like what you said. I think Andy Reid is going to turn it on. I think the Chiefs are going to turn it on. I think Pacheco, I think Kelsey's going to have a better game this week than he's had in a long time. And I think the Chiefs in general are going to play a lot better. Do I think the Dolphins are going to be a slouch? No. I think the Dolphins are going to show up. I think it's going to be cold. I think it's not going to be what they're used to. I think a lot of players are going to go, whoa, this isn't what I signed up for. And I think they're going to get smacked around at first. But I do think as the game carries on, the Dolphins do have weapons to play. I mean, they have great receivers. Obviously they have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. They have great defense. They have players. And I think Tua is not what he was when he was drafted. I just think he doesn't get out of the box. I said this countless times now through the season. He doesn't get out of the box. He doesn't make the plays he needs to make because he's scared to get hit. The fans are scared for him to get hit. The organization's scared for him to get hit. So the reason that he doesn't do that is just for his own safety. And I think defenses go, he's not going anywhere. We can get into our dime defense. We can get into our nickel defense. We can prepare for the pass, and he can't get around anyway. On the flip side, Patrick Mahomes is mobile. He can make plays, and it's playoff football. It's going to be welcome to playoff football. Miami Dolphins have not done well and really haven't been in the playoffs a lot in the last, 15 years anyway.
Don't forget, Brandon, Miami has only won 1 game against teams with a winning record. 1.
This
1
season.
out of 10. They're not. Yeah. They're just not. I think this is not going to be close. But before we end the segment, I would we have to have one more Brandon Mason glazing Tyreek Hill. So can we show that video one more time?
Yeah. 100%.
We got to show that one more time. There 100%. We go. Look at that.
This is the only weapon right now. I mean, Mozart's playing great. Running back's playing great. Yes, Jalen Waddle's going to be great. This is the primary weapon. If Tyreek Hill doesn't show this speed during the game, Dolphins are going to have a lot of problems. They better get up early. If he gets banged up, they start locking him down. He can't make big plays. And listen, Brent, I got to tell you this. If he gets an open space across the center of the field, that's where he's a weapon. But if they don't get him the ball, it's going to be a long day in Arrowhead Stadium.
We need one of those memes. Have you ever seen those memes? And it says like how, Stephon Diggs looks at Josh Allen or whatever. We need a meme for how Brandon Mason looks at Tyreek Hill. Dude, you get so excited. It's like Christmas Day of a kid for you, and you get to talk about Tyreek Hill.
You want
and
to know
his
why?
speed.
Football is meant to be exciting. Football is meant to be fun to watch. And when I played back in the day, you had some power eye offenses. You had a lot of running game. It was fun. But nowadays, football is about getting an open space more than ever. And I think
the spread, that's right.
Yeah, but players like Tyreek Hill, there's not many like that. And there
I love
are other
watching
players,
Tyreek Hill.
but he's a rare find. And so the Chiefs traded him, and he is with the Dolphins. He played with the Chiefs. This is going to be very interesting in the playoffs now.
One last thing I'll say about Tyreek Hill. What did I say yesterday about John Morant? John Morant is the most fun player in the NBA to watch.
Agreed.
He just can do things that other guys physically can't do athletically. I think the equivalent in the NFL is Tyreek Hill. I mean, you can say Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, but what Tyreek Hill has with his speed and how you can just get him the ball and it's like, and he's gone. It reminds me of like Devin Hester back in the day. Like, he's just fantastic.
I got 2 questions for you. For people watching, they're going to put their bets in. So I got a question for you. Will Tua throw 2 touchdowns or more in this game?
Yes.
2 or more, yes.
Yes.
How about Patrick Mahomes? Will he throw 2 touchdowns or more in this game?
Definitely yes.
Okay.
Tua will be short little dumps inside the red zone, but yeah, I think they'll both get it.
I got both of them throwing 2 touchdown passes, and here's what I got. I got Patrick Mahomes is going to make some plays with his legs. I think that's what the outcome is going to be. I don't think he's got the all-star talent, the weapons like he did receiver position. I think he'll use Kelsey. I think Pacheco will get out there. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have to scramble, make plays with his legs. I do think the Chiefs win this game at Arrowhead Stadium. I think they win by 14, and I don't think at first it looks like that. I think first half they're up a little bit. The second half, it takes about the fourth quarter. They pull away and they go up by 14, 17 points, beating the Dolphins.
The below average white guy would like to give a PSA about gambling. I need to read the little below average white guys do not gamble because we suck at it and we lose. So that's my so don't spend money you can't afford to lose. That's
the disclaimer is we are not giving you honest bet information. You cannot use that or think that we are.
You're allowed to. I mean, there's nothing that says you can. I'm just saying below average white guys with faces for radio that wear tighty whities should not be gambling.
Well, let's move on to Russell Wilson, because this is what I wanted to talk about again, because Russell Wilson is in a very weird position. And I think the team's in a weird position. A lot like other teams are like, who is my quarterback going to be? And right now, yeah, the door is open. You can come back if you want. What kind of message is that to your quarterback who you brought in from Seattle, who was dynamic and was great and who was a shifty player and a star talent, impossible Super Bowl hopes you want to bring to your organization? Yeah, well, we'll welcome you back if you want to come back, or, do you want to discuss your contract again? And obviously he's benched because he did not want to renegotiate his contract. And I get it. They did not like his contract, and they said, look, we're not going to play you anyway. And all they had to do was say, look, you're not going to play. We're moving on to somebody else. What do you want to do? And they could have had a conversation like that, and they may have had that conversation, Brent. But realistically, it's like this. You're benched. You just started playing better throughout the year. People started getting some hopes in Russell Wilson. They bench him. And they say, look, you can come back if you want next year. What do you think? Nobody wants to play for an organization like that. Whether you're making money or not, you got to go where you're welcomed, you're loved, where you have a future, you have a career. And Russell Wilson, let's be honest, does not have 10 more years left in the NFL. He's probably got 3 to 5, something like that. Plays for the Broncos, he's got 1, maybe 2. If he goes somewhere else, he'll get a contract. And this is where we talked about it. Other places he can go. The Steelers are, in fact, a location that he can go. Where else do you think? Can someone like the Bears, if they don't take a draft pick, which I think that's what they have been talking about, which we'll get to in a second. Do you think that the Bears could possibly take somebody like Russell Wilson?
No, I don't. I don't think the Bears are going to go get a veteran at this point. They're definitely not one of the teams that I would put on that list. I think the Steelers are somebody that could do that. I think there's a handful of teams out there. The thing is, Russell Wilson's going to want to go to somebody that can compete. When you look at the NFC South, Atlanta was right there, 9-7, 8 and right. They were right 9-8, 8-9. They were right there on the. They don't have a quarterback. Like, could he go there? Right, they're not a bad team. Right, there's a couple teams there. Tampa maybe has Baker Mayfield, but would they be interested in putting Russell Wilson into that? That might be a pretty good team with Russell Wilson. So I think there's opportunities for him. But I definitely think Pittsburgh's the one that stands out to me as, the most obvious place where I think they could benefit from him, and he could benefit from them.
What's interesting is I think we all see this. You have a quarterback comes into the game in the NFL, and everybody loves him. Whether he's a draft pick, or not, he's starting. The team's the morale behind it, especially if you're winning. He got to Seattle, and he's winning games. You get loved so much. The fan base loves you. You leave, you go to another team. People are like, whoa, you know what? That's awkward, but that could work. I could see Russell Wilson play for the Broncos. Maybe people started, let's bring in Russell Wilson. He's a great player. Let's watch what he can do. And all of a sudden, I don't like Russell Wilson. After a couple games losing, you lose to a team, hey, I don't think we should lose to them. It changes very quickly in the NFL. And now Russell Wilson's like, whoa, I went from being a star, and I'm not saying he was overall MVP and Super Bowl hype like Tom Brady. I'm just saying he was on a high elite level. He was in conversation with some pretty star talent. And Brent, all of a sudden, you're like, is Russell Wilson that good? And you're like, people start to forget that he was really good, and he still is really good. But he might be in the wrong system. He might be in the wrong spot. And so
what about Green Bay? What about Green Bay? I mean, is Jordan Love your guy for sure? I mean, Green Bay has a good team.
If they win some playoff games this year, if they beat the Cowboys I'll tell you this, if they just beat the Cowboys in the playoffs, they are very happy with Jordan Love. If they get smoked by the Cowboys in the playoffs, there's always going to be some chatter, but they're going to bring them back. They want to play next season. They like Jordan Love. They're not
by the way,
fan like Aaron Rodgers, but if he beats the Cowboys, oh yeah. If he beats the Cowboys, they love Jordan Love.
If Green Bay beats the Cowboys, that will be and there's a very good rant of Brent on Mike McCarthy on the YouTube channel, which guys should check out. But if the Cowboys lose, that will be the third season in a row that Mike McCarthy has gone 12-5 and lost in the first round of the playoffs. He should be fired. He should be fired before they get in their cars to go home.
Brent, let's move on to Saquon Barkley. That's great. Let's move on to Saquon Barkley because this is another, kind of
what about
system.
New York Giants? Why doesn't Russell Wilson could be really great with Saquon in that Brian Dable offense? That would be good.
Hey, very interesting you say that. And here's the thing. Russell Wilson, that's very interesting. I would like to see him play for the Giants. That'd be great.
Now, he would probably like to go New York because he'd get lots of media. Him and his famous wifey can go to New York and be on the Post every morning.
Would be awesome to get ridiculed. So let's say this. Saquon Barkley did not get the contract he wanted at the beginning of this season. They gave all the money to Daniel Jones. And now they're like, whoa, okay, Saquon, we're still not in love with you. And they've made it very clear to him by not giving him the money that he was just not the running back they were going to keep for the next 5 years. A lot has to do, Brent, with injuries. But let's just show this clip. This is what Saquon Barkley looked like. I mean, this man can run. He's got power. He's got talent. He can break tackles. He's a strong candidate. I mean, the guy can run, Brent, and he's the ideal prototype running back. I mean, the size, the ability, the strength. The problem that he has, more important, is injuries. Then it was, can he catch the ball? Yeah. Watch. He can catch the ball. He can do all the things. He has all the talent. But again, the NFL, especially the running back position, is about 3 years, right? 2 to 3 years. If you're really good, you still have about 3 to 4, especially because of injuries. If you get that extended contract and you get it in a dual system where you got, like you had Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, like that kind of system, that's the best way for running backs right now in the NFL to play. If you go to a team, you want another running back there. Don't, try to be greedy and it's just me. Go there where there's 2 running backs that can run the ball, catch the ball so you can save your legs and come out and, be a star. And this is when he was early on with Odell. He just looked stronger before the injuries, Brent. I mean, that's my honest opinion. Catching more passes and screen plays and, a little quick double. I mean, that's what I think.
Does anyone think that the best 2 running backs in the league aren't Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey? I mean, I think they are, right?
Okay, yes, but I like Christian McCaffrey number 1. That's unequivocally.
I think they're very similar, and I think they're both very, very good. And I think the issue is one is on a very good team and one is on a very bad team. And by the way, Brian Daboll's offense, which is what the Bills' offense is today, that's been very successful over the last 4 or 5 years. He brought that in. It doesn't really feature a running back. So it's a very bizarre sort of setup. It's more in the passing game, and the running back is more of a complement, where the Giants really have the opposite of that. They have a great running back, but they don't really have a very good quarterback. And so I think it's a very sort of weird setup. If I were Saquon, I would probably try to get out of there and get one big contract. But the problem is running backs just don't get paid in the NFL. Yeah. So he might not get the deal that he could otherwise he'll get from the Giants. I mean, what is the franchise number on a running back? $10 million? I mean, that's nothing, dude. Quarterbacks are making $50 million.
But they don't want to pay him. They made this very obvious already that the
Giants
don't
want
are not
to pay
investing
him. They don't value it, but I'm telling you, Brian Daboll's offense does not feature a running back. It's a compliment.
Yep.
It is a compliment.
And people
they had
better
guys
take
you
notes.
never even heard of.
The NFL got away from running backs, and it got to we're running a spread offense and like a fast, speedy running back. That works
That's
sometimes.
Hold on. That's not entirely true.
No, but I'm saying they started
No.
to.
Hold on. I want to clarify that comment because this gets said a lot and it's just not true, right? What happened wasn't that they got away from running backs. What happened was, yes, some offenses are focused on spreading the ball out and getting them out in the flats, but there are still half the offenses are still about running the ball. The reason why the focused back, which is what I think you're referring to, is the focus back, the one guy, the Sean Alexander, the Walter Payton, the Emmitt Smith, the reason why that doesn't exist anymore is because of the wear and tear. And so what these teams have figured out is if they have good blocking schemes and they have 2 or 3 guys, they can just run. This guy runs 4 times, this guy runs 4 times, and they just keep blowing them into the line. It's a lot more than successful than running one guy 35 times. And so it's not that the offenses have changed, it's how they use the personnel that's changed. And I think that's a key nuance in the NFL that when people say, but because of that, Brandon, this is the last thing I'll say, you are right. And that because of that, the value of running backs has gone down. So you don't need one guy and pay him $15 million. You just need 3 guys and pay them $15 million total. And then it's the same, right? So that's the issue with running backs in the NFL.
So yes, and so what you just said at the end there was what I was referring to.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm referring to is, they run the ball. You have to run the ball. But I mean, back in the day, it was run the ball to set up the pass. Run the ball to set up the play action.
You got one guy you run with.
Yeah, but run the ball to set up the play action because those big-time running backs, you paid a lot of money to. They were durable, and they got it done, and football was tough. And nowadays, speed more than anything, and speed has always been important. But now speed is really, really, really important. There's a lot of spread. The quarterbacks are different. The quarterbacks can run way better than they did years ago. So what's happening is there's a lot of shotgun, a lot of draws, there's option plays like college, all this kind of change of possession and change of handle with quarterbacks now. So with that, you have these quarterbacks that are making way bigger contracts than ever. And if you're paying them all this money, why? Not to run the ball the whole game. You're paying someone like Josh Allen, people like Patrick Mahomes, you're paying them because they got to go back and they got to be mobile and they got to throw and they got to run. They have a lot going on, going through all their reads and progression. You're getting these star talented receivers. What does that mean? Let's pay my quarterback $100 million. Let's pay my receiver $100 million. And let's pay my running back $10 million. And then you're like, okay, who needs to shine today? The guys I'm giving all the money to. So that means those running backs, yeah, they need to be more durable. But instead of having your $10 million guy, you can have your $2 million, $3 million, and $4 million guy. And those guys, like you just said, can shift around and play. And then third downs, you can run little, swing patterns and things. And that's what I see. Saquon Barkley is arguably one of the best in the NFL, like you said, on the wrong team. And if he goes somewhere else, he can revamp his future, but injuries are holding him back. But let's move on to Mike Vrabel. I think this is important, Brent. What do you got on this story? Tell me what you think about him being fired, and where do you think he's going?
Yeah, so Mike Vrabel is a coach that came into Tennessee and turned the franchise around, and they were doing really well. And then, they've had a couple tough seasons, and they never really had a quarterback, right? They decided to go with Ryan Tannehill, and so, so now I think Mike Vrabel might have engineered this. There was some rumors that, they literally said, Brandon, this was a great quote. Tennessee said it was too complicated to trade him, so we just fired him. Too complicated. If it's too complicated for you to figure out a trade, then maybe you shouldn't be running an NFL team. That's great. So Mike Vrabel gets fired, but there's rumor and innuendo that, Mike Vrabel is already in discussions to go back to New England. So if you don't know who Mike Vrabel is, he's a former NFL linebacker that won 3 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. He is loved in New England. He is a loved young and up and coming coach in the league. And he would be a perfect heir apparent to Bill Belichick. So I think what you're seeing is Robert Kraft trying to engineer the behind the scenes swap out. Vrabel for Belichick, like this. I was doing this, but you couldn't see.
But you've been saying this whole time. You've been saying this whole time. Tomlin's not going anywhere. Belichick's not going anywhere. If I'm correct.
No, I said Belichick. Belichick will never get fired. He'll just retire. And I think what they're trying to do is engineer this. Vrabel comes in. Belichick goes out. They'll probably cut a deal with Belichick that his son gets to be the defensive coordinator or something.
It's always a hand-me-down. And Robert Kraft, these head coaches, they come and go, and I feel like they get old. It's like the owners don't get old. They just stay there for eternity. And
they get old. Look at Jerry.
Jerry Jones has been the owner of the Cowboys since, I want to tell you, like the dinosaurs, the dinosaur age. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, Mike Vrabel, can he go to the Patriots? Yeah, Belichick might step down or leave. And you're like, the owner, Robert Kraft, he's still there. He'll be there forever. And it's like him and Jerry Jones got to be 200 years old.
So, Brandon, you're going to laugh at this. And by the way, Brandon and I, when he comes to visit Dallas, we're going to do a live show at the Cowboys Star.
I'm looking forward
headquarters.
to that. I'm looking
We're
forward
doing
to
that. We're doing a live show at the Cowboys Star. Jerry, do you know what they have at the Star headquarters? They have a virtual Jerry. You can, seriously, AI Jerry. You can walk up to Jerry, and he's a hologram, and you can ask him any question you want, and he'll tell you.
You can talk to him?
Oh, yeah, you can talk to him, and he talks back.
Well, look.
You got AI Jerry, baby.
Listen, Brent, I'm moving on to this topic. That's very interesting. And
what do you think about this, though, Brandon? What do you think about this?
I know tomorrow, right? We might have a guest tomorrow on the show. So, guys watching this right now, you can call in anytime at the top. There's a link. Obviously, we're preparing a phone number for you. It's there, but there's a meeting ID. So you hit the link, put the ID in. You can call live, talk anytime through the show, or you can call the number. It's in there in the chat right now. You can call the number as well and use the meeting ID. Brent, let's move on real quick to Caleb Williams, because he could potentially be the first pick in the draft, and I want people to understand what that's like. So, yeah, it's great. Make a lot of money. You're the first pick, but let's not forget, you could be another Bryce Young. What does that mean? Go to a team, and just for the lack of better terms, they suck at this point, right? So if you were to go to the Bears, they suck. Could you be good there? Yes, but they suck right now. Bryce Young, is he a good quarterback? Of course he is. Did he play well in college? Of course he did. How he's doing in the NFL? Not so good. Not like other players that went to other teams, like C.J. Stroud, who might be Rookie of the Year. Now, is it good to go the first pick and be the main guy, Brent? Are you excited? You're on the podium? Yeah, that's wonderful. But what's your future look like? Do you get a chance to build behind an Aaron Rodgers? Do you get a chance to grow behind someone like that and learn the program? Typically nowadays, tell me if I'm wrong, if you're the first pick in the draft, especially the first quarterback selected in the draft, they're expecting you to get there, put your shit on, put your mouthpiece in, learn these reads, learn this playbook, and get on the field. Because if they're drafting you the first pick, they need a quarterback. And that's teams like the Bears. That's teams like, I want to even say but teams like the Patriots. They need a quarterback right now that's going to step in and play. So if you get drafted there you go. You're playing now. So that's great for Caleb Williams. Is it smart? Explain the concept behind learning behind a quarterback, and is it smart to go first pick?
It depends where you're going and who you're going to. I think that the situation with Caleb Williams is he going to go to the Bears? Is he going to go to the Redskins? I certainly don't think you want to go to the Redskins. But I'm thinking more about from the Bears' perspective, right? This is a very important decision for them, right? They have to decide if they believe that Caleb Williams is really, truly a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type quarterback. They can't afford to miss on this. In the last few years, they've drafted Mitch Trubisky, number 2 overall. That was horrible. They drafted Justin Fields very high. That's turned out not to be great. And now they have another shot at it. And I think they really, really need to be very thoughtful. And there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the draft. And if you look at historically, it's not always the guy that everyone thinks is best ends up being best, right? Trubisky got drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes. Baker Mayfield got drafted ahead. And Sam Darnold got drafted ahead of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, right? So the Bears need to be very thoughtful about this and make sure that they get the right guy and not just go along with Caleb Williams as number 1. But I will say one other thing, and then I'll pass it back to you, Brandon. I saw a mock draft out there that had Drake May, a quarterback at North Carolina, is the number 1 pick in the draft ahead of Caleb Williams. And the article on Deadspin said, and I love that title, any GM who prefers Drake May over Caleb Williams is a moron. Drake May has never won 10 games, period, altogether.
Wow. That's a problem right now.
He never beat a top 25 team in the NCAA. He's 6-7 this year.
Listen, then he's got to play against all these teams, Brent. And listen, first off, that's terrible. That's going to lead us into a conversation. These quarterbacks have to have a lot of talent, and they have to be poised. And that leads us into this. And we know home and away, guys, if you're watching this the first time, home and away games are a lot different. And I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like when you're playing away in a stadium, right? And it's not your hometown. You wake up and the team, you don't eat where you usually eat. You don't sleep where you usually sleep. And it's a hotel you've never been to in your life probably. And it's an away game and they're yelling and you can't hear and it's a problem. And this is the issue that you're going to have in away games. And let me just say this. I got a video and a clip to pull up here that shows what it's like playing away, especially in playoff season. And I got it right here for you to see. Brent, This is what it looks like playing in Buffalo.
There
when
we
it
go.
Snows.
There we go.
I mean, listen, this is what teams have to do. And I think if you're in the South and
The
you're playing,
final
you show
score.
up.
The final score of that game was 7-6.
Look at this. This is what. Okay, question, Brent. Can the Dolphins play away in a stadium like this?
No, no. There's
Seriously.
something.
I mean, you got to be built for this.
Tua is gonna freeze. It's gonna be like one of those Marvel movies where
You
he's
got to be built for this, Brent. But watch this. LaShawn McCoy grew up in Pennsylvania. You're going to see in a second. Grew up in Pennsylvania, grew up in the cold, doing all that. I'm going to show you look at the difference of playing in the cold if you grew up in it. Watch this.
Yeah,
Watch
there's
this.
McCoy.
Doesn't even slow down. Look, running just like he's
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
he's playing like he's playing
because
with
he
no
played high
snow.
school. Because he played high school football in that. That's why.
Yeah, look at this shit. Look at the fans. The Bills fans are like, bring the snow.
Now,
And then-
now do this. Show me a beach with a luau, and that's what Tua grew up doing.
Look at this.
Yeah, I'm Tua from Hawaii on a beach. Yeah, that's right.
Guys, if you're in the chat right now, can you play in the snow? I mean, look at this. You got to watch this one last clip again. There's snow blowing. This isn't leaves like in Miami where the blowing leaves are blowing. This is snow during the playoff game. The
This is
Bills
so
are
they can
prepared.
see the
Chiefs
lines.
are prepared.
This is where they can see the lines on the field.
But how can the Dolphins go to Arrowhead Stadium in a snowstorm like this? Listen, it's going to be cold.
It's
In
not going to be
Buffalo, it's gonna be
snowing. It's going to be cold.
You
Dude,
can't even see the field. Look at the
You're
fans. Look at all
missing
the Bills. Look at all
Brandon.
the Bills fans.
yeah. Brandon, you're missing the main. It's great.
Bro,
Brandon,
hold
you're
on,
missing
hold
the
on,
main
hold
thing
on.
here is
Look
Tua-
at the fans, though. The fans do not care because they're going to go home from this game like this, and they're going to go and play in the snow when they get home, and all of the Dolphins fans are going to go, what the hell is going on right now?
So I have been in that stadium. I used to be a 10-year season ticket holder, and I have been in those snow games. I wasn't at that one. It is freaking cold. It is cold. I mean, I had 7 pairs of pants on, 32 shirts. It was cold.
Look at this.
So there's no way to stay warm in that. Like, but there's some guys there there's my seats right there. Did you see the guy with the guitar, Elvis, Buffalo Elvis? I sat next to him. Yeah.
Listen, if it gets cold, next to, and this
I
is
did.
what
I
we're
sat
talking
next to
about.
Buffalo Elvis.
The main point of that, I love that yellow mug, Brent. Is that another gift? Where is that mug? What is that?
This mug is the Naked Castle. Now, I'm going to tell you what the Naked Castle is. It's not what you think it is.
The Naked
It
Castle.
is a French monastery that was built in the mountains of China, 3 hours outside of Shanghai.
Love it.
And it was built like on the edge of a mountain, and it's the only thing on the mountain, and they converted it into a hotel. Google Naked Castle. There is a pool that is all glass that hangs over the side of the mountain. It is the craziest thing you will ever see. It is an exclusive resort. It is one of the top 10 resorts in the world to go visit. Check it
Listen,
out.
I was going to tell you,
Free plug for the Naked Castle.
I was just going to tell you, happy wife, happy life on my mug, but since you gave that whole damn fucking story about your whole castle and shit, I'm just going to move on past that and head right to Giannis because Giannis was being booed, Brent.
Hold on. Wait a minute, Brandon. Wait a minute. Before you go on the Giannis, can you go back to the home versus away? I had something very important that I wanted to say here.
You want to see the home versus away of the snowstorm, or you want to see the
Just the graphic. I just want to tell something about this. I did a little research on this, Brandon.
snow?
The top 4 places, the top 4 hardest places to play in the NFL are, in no random order, Lambeau Field, Green Bay Packers, right? No home game. They're going to Dallas. Seattle Seahawks, CenturyLink Field. Okay, that's a tough place to play. They're not in the playoffs. Arrowhead Stadium,
No, that was number
Kansas
one.
City.
Was that number
Arrowhead
one?
is known for its raucous crowds and has repeatedly set records for the loudest outdoor stadium. And the final undisputed toughest place to play, Buffalo Bills, known for their extremely passionate fan base and harsh winter conditions.
Well, that's what's going to happen this year in the playoffs. I hope the Dolphins are lined up and ready to go because it's not going to be good.
So if you're in the AFC, you got to play in two of the toughest places to play in the league.
Every year.
Good luck. Let's talk about booing Giannis.
All right, so here it is. There are
never boo
times
Giannis.
where you
Giannis
might get
great.
booed. Shit,
No.
I boo myself. So what he said, there was a message from Giannis. He got booed by his own team, Brent. That's a problem, right? I mean, you got booed by your own. I mean, you're playing ball, you're getting booed by your own team. That doesn't feel good at all.
No, I went to school, but put it back on me, Brandon. We don't need to look at Giannis. Yeah, put it
Brent
back.
wants the camera today in low definition.
I want the camera on me. Look, I went to school just outside of Milwaukee. All right. And if you want to talk about a fan base that is like the Pittsburgh fans, they are almost lockstep in line. They are booing the league MVP. Are these guys insane? Relax, bro. It's an 82-game season. I guarantee you that those beer-drinking, cheese-eating Milwaukee, Wisconsin residents haven't done any exercise for 82 games and 82 anything in a row. And they're booing Giannis because he had a couple bad games or the team had a couple bad games. This is nuts. Like relax.
I mean, Brent, this is what I'm talking about,
bro.
though. You're good until you're not good, right? Like, he's the MVP.
It's
He's the
nuts.
best basketball player, one of the best, obviously, in the NBA year in
They
year out
have
now.
the fourth best record in the NBA. It's not like they're the Pistons that just went on a 29-game losing streak.
They're literally booing him.
They're booing the league MVP. Get out of here. You go have a bratwurst and wait a week, and they'll be fine.
He
Come
took
on,
it well.
man.
Hey, he took it well.
Relax, bro.
He took it well. He just said, I'd boo myself if he has a bad game. But that's when you come to the locker room for the game, before the game, and everyone's like, introduce you, and at guard, or, and at forward, and then like, Giannis, and all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, Giannis, and then they're like, boo, during the game. You're like, what the hell just happened, man? I don't know. It feels like an away game if you're getting booed by your home crowd. But I mean, listen, I'll tell you this. He's
The
been
away
great.
teams don't bill Giannis, dude.
He's
They're
been
so
great.
happy to see him. He's a great player. He's a better guy. Do you see how that guy talks? He's so mature and he's so with it. And they're so, dude, look, they are so lucky. Who would go play in Milwaukee? Franchise players aren't signing up to go to Milwaukee. They're going to LA. They're going to Florida. They're going to New York. They're going to Texas. They're not going to Milwaukee. So you have one of the best players in the league. You shouldn't be booing him. You should be there with flowers and grapes and celebrating him. Giannis bobbleheads. Where's my bobblehead? Giannis bobbleheads every game. You should be thanking him for being there. You should never boo him.
Listen, Brent, before your blood pressure goes through the roof and you turn to the below average white guy that looks like a peach over there, let's move on to this topic because I have it in front of me and you wanted to talk about it. So, from my understanding, Toronto Maple Leaf superstar right winger William Nylander have reached an 8-year contract extension worth $92 million, which is $11.5 million per season. So, Brent, hockey is one of those sports that when you're turning the channels, you don't really see hockey that much, right? You see football, baseball, then you'll see LeBron James, then you'll see Tyreek Hill, and then you see Patrick Mahomes, and then it's Jalen Hurts, and it's back to LeBron James, and then once in a while, there's Tiger Woods. Hockey is not one of those sports where you're just scrolling through and hockey's in your face. But quietly, this guy is making $92 million. Hockey is a sport that people, you don't hear it all the time. If you're in the sports world of hockey, if you're around those
Does the
people,
league make $92 million a year?
This money's outrageous. I'm looking at this going, wow. And if you ask people, what do they make? You're like, most people would say, a couple $1 million, you don't know. Hockey players make a shit ton of money. And this is nothing short of that. $92 million, Brent?
Yeah. So I know you don't know a ton about hockey, so I'm going to tell you something else that's going to blow your mind. You ready for this? William Nylander is the 4th best player on that team. Austin Matthews was a number 1 overall pick and is one of the best players in the league, period. John Tavares was the MVP and just a stud from the Islanders that signed there. And Mitch Marner is another top guy. And William Nylander is like a luxury piece. He's like Jalen Waddle on the Dolphins. Can you imagine Jalen Waddle making more than Tyreek Hill? That's insane. I'll put it in terms Brandon understands.
Yeah, right? Wait, is it Nylander or Nylander?
It's Nylander. It's William Nylander.
So William Nylander is 4th or 5th best, arguably, on his team, and he's getting $92 million. So is that an agent deal, or is that because it's because he's that good? Is it a good? Because hockey has to have a sports agent like any other type of sport.
He's younger.
The agents of hockey are that good that's a lot of money.
No, he's a younger player, so that's an advantage that he has on his side, right? But yeah, it's crazy, right? That he's 27. He's set career highs in goals and assists. He's a good player, but they've got a lot of good players. Maybe they'll do this for a year or two and then they'll trade him for a bunch of stuff. You don't know how that works out, but or they'll trade one of the other guys. I don't know how you can afford. Hockey has a pretty low salary cap. They really do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's not something where you can sustain $92 million contracts.
And what shirt are you wearing at this point?
Oh, I am wearing a Buffalo Sabres shirt.
That's what
today.
I thought that was.
We're talking hockey, and I'm supporting my Buffalo Sabres today, who are okay, Brandon. They're not in the playoff mix right now, but hopefully they can turn it on. There's a 372 game hockey season, so they got lots of time to catch up in the standings.
Brent, before we end the segment today, I want to slide right back up because Fins and Chiefs, which is the main headline of the show. This is an interesting year, and this is how I want to end the segment today. It's a very interesting year, an interesting season, because there's a lot of teams this year that are good that I didn't think would be good, and there's teams that are great that right now you're like, whoa, you're not so good. And those teams, in my mind, are teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Eagles, right? And then you got the Cowboys and 49ers, who I said, are they good? Oh, they're really good. Oh, wait, no, they're terrible. Oh, no, they're really good again. And so those 4 teams, and obviously we can't forget the Ravens, because the Ravens, obviously, they've been playing well, but they were a team I said, they'll be mediocre, and they're fantastic right now. So I think a lot of people are looking at this going, okay, those teams are in the playoffs, and then to top that off, you start looking at who's in the playoffs, and you go, oh, the Bills, and then you go, oh, the Rams, and you start going, this series of playoffs with home field advantage is important, injuries, who's playing, but this is probably, since I've been watching football my entire life and playing football at a high level, I think this is arguably one of the most interesting playoff years I think we have. And even Green Bay's in the mix. So I don't know. It just seems this is going to be an interesting start for the playoff matchups.
It'll be fun. I agree with you. This season has kind of been, there's not one dominant team like the Chiefs or Patriots in the past, right? So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. But, it's possible it could just be chalk too. I think that we've seen this season that, anything can happen. But Brandon, you brought up a really, really good point earlier in the show, which is, it's playoff time. And these teams that you're talking about that haven't played well, know when to start playing, and that's the Rams, and that's the Chiefs, and that's the Bills, and that's some of these other teams that have been around for a while. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens here. Ravens historically are not a good playoff team, right? So we'll see. The 49ers seem to play well in the playoffs. The Cowboys don't. So we're going to find out, but it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. And I think we should do our predictions on Friday, Brandon, for the entire Super Bowl, all the way up.
All the
to
wild
Super
cards
Bowl.
and everything.
We should pick our brackets and put those up on the screen and maybe make a little friendly wager, because below average white guys don't bet actual money.
Didn't I bet you $100 or $1 on something else that I think I
You
won?
bet me $100 on something that I no doubtably won, but I haven't got my $100 yet.
Well,
but it's right in line with my free salary as co-host of the Brandon Mason Show.
No, what you got is a Yeti mug that's in the mail, and it will arrive at any given time. We haven't decided yet. The snowstorms have had this thing backed up.
I'm getting better. I'm getting more T-shirts than I am Yeti mugs.
I love it. Hey, Brent, before you go, we get off today. Let's say this. Let's come up with your bet. Or not your bet, sorry, your points, your system here. What do you think the outcome of the game, Dolphins versus Chiefs, what do you got from a scoring perspective? Like, what do you think the scoreboard will look like here?
It'll be low scoring because it's cold. I'll say 24-13.
24-13. I like
Chiefs.
that. I'm saying 27-10 Chiefs. And I think, and like I said,
good.
I think from the beginning it's going to be a good game. And then I think
that's good.
I think that's what we're looking at right now.
I think those are close. Those are close. Those are close. But I think Miami will get a couple field goals. Maybe put one in.
Come on. I'm expecting it to be a good game. Brent, look, we'll get off early today. So good to have you on the show every day, 10 to 11. And tomorrow we dive into the other matchups in the wild cards, but it's going to be a good week, obviously, this week in playoff games.
And teaser guest to talk about the University of Michigan championship win. So we will
have a guest on the show tomorrow. The all-time leading rusher in Michigan history will be on the show tomorrow. Brent, thanks for having you on, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for tuning into the Brandon Mason Show. Hope you guys enjoyed today. We're every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is a lot of playoff games coming up. We're going to hit those every single day until we get to the weekend, so you can put in your live bets and everything so you can enjoy the games, and we'll give you all the spreads and answers to that. But before we get off here today, I want to let you know we do all sports, NFL, NBA, all women's sports as well. So if you're a guy or a girl, you can enjoy this. And remember, have all safe travels, and until next time.